Welcome guys, this is WarPiglet and I am now embarking on a different video to what I normally do. This isn't really instructional, although I will touch on some basics of Eden. But what this is you could almost say this is going to be an Eden rant. Welcome to the pigsty. I mean Eden. Okay, let's head to Eden. Here's WarPiglet in Eden, and let's give you guys some perspective because we're stuck right out in the desert. So this is the zone we started in, and this is actually, first off, one of my gripes with Eden is the lack of identity and naming of zones. So it's very difficult to say to people, yeah, this zone, this gate, that city. So I'll show later on a little map that I worked on. I'm going to start with something I wrote to kind of explain our position. So here goes. We find ourselves in a predicament. This is mainly because of the poor setup of Eden. There are too many guilds on one state map, meaning too many opposing players in the same zone. Added to that, bad power matching means we are screwed. We have not been able to move out of the 3 zones we are in, nor do we have access to higher level tiles in these areas. More powerful groups move through and take ownership of our tiles and then complain when we try to take them back. Yes, this is a wargame event, and that would be fine if it was fairly balanced and lasted only a few days like a kill event, but we're stuck for 30 more days or so like this. There is no point to the game for us now, and bad politics is upsetting everybody. Having said that, let's just touch on Eden and what I see as its potential. I think Eden has great potential. When you consider this map and the potential objectives, you've got a lot of zones, each containing a city, which gives a lot of points. And then there are the gates in between the zones, which also give points for taking. But you've got to get through the gate to move into another zone. So the way I see it, the intention, if I was the developer, would be to put a guild in a zone, and then they would progress around the map, moving from zone to zone, through the gates. When they get to the point of the correct power requirement, take a city, but keep on progressing around the map, maybe in a circular fashion, and all the other guilds would be doing the same. So everyone would be rotating around the map, picking up their points, increasing their immunity, getting stronger, and eventually heading towards the center and battling it out there. However, that is not what's happening, and there are a number of lower strength guilds who are being held back by stronger guilds, trying not to use the word bully. So Eden currently sucks, and this is corroborated by friends in other states. They're having similar problems as well. I think there's a mix of confusion amongst players and R5s as to how the game perhaps should be played rather. And that's not necessarily their fault. I would put blame to the development of this event. So ultimately, balance is the issue. We're up against some extremely powerful guilds, and when they don't have their sense of direction, they just fall back on territorial warfare. And I don't believe that's the point of Eden. And you certainly, for, 50, 55, 60-day event, you don't want to be cornered for that time. So essentially our issue in the guild I'm playing in, we are like cornered cats. And the dogs of war are around us on all sides, keeping us in. And yeah, there's Piggy in the middle. But no one's really getting it because these other guilds aren't necessarily working in tandem, because the way the zones are laid out, they're so spread, they're completely unaware and essentially don't care that we might be unable to move on out the other side to free up the area for them as they see fit. So inevitably what ends up happening, usually through the R5s is a degree of truce making and pacts between the guilds as to gate sharing. You take it and then we take it, because you then realize you can get points and both play off that rather than hitting each other. Or you get into these horrible tile wars. Right now I'm teleporting to a pad prepared earlier because we've got this awkward situation with a guild. I'll try and keep them nameless. Ultimately, because the situation here is, the R5 has kind of gone headstrong rogue, but it doesn't necessarily mean that all the players under him feel the same way. So our I5 has struck up a relatively good rapport with one of these powerful players who isn't the R5 of the guild, and there's a bit of mutual respect and understanding. But their R5 wants to obliterate us, and we're cats in a corner, so we're trying to reduce their tiles to prevent them advancing up the side of the zone. So we're talking about this zone, and right now they're piled up on the east side, having taken that city from us, and they want to head back up towards us and inevitably take us out. So we get into this tiresome tile taking and who took whose tiles, and ultimately we're all trying to aim at these high level tiles and increase our immunity and our points and get somewhere and hopefully get rewards at the end of the season. But that's under jeopardy, so ultimately our guild might be prevented from advancing at all, and we end up playing Doomsday. We've got 25 days left. We play for 25 more days and not achieve very much. While I'm here, let's do what we all should always be doing, just harvesting, pulling those things in, and let's keep these going. I'm going to do that one because that's quick. Let's go for immunity. We'll harvest that and we'll go for this. So 3 hours, 16 minutes, I'll be back and process something else. Okay, so ultimately I'll be spending time here looking for these tiles that potentially pose a threat. Otherwise, they'll be able to, off their tiles that they have, take part of this territory and advance towards us and ultimately towards this gate and cause problems. At the moment, we're sharing this gate with another alliance, and that's working quite well. But we always worry that alliance doesn't want to play that game anymore because they're under pressure from another alliance who might want to keep us in check. But ultimately what we, in my view, want to be doing is heading round through these zones and keep going. But of course everyone's now thinking they own gates and they own cities and they own the zones. And I believe that's completely not the point of Eden. So it's a game of backstabbing and mistrust and unhappy players. I'm after your opinion. What do you guys think? How are you feeling? What's the point of the game for you? And I tell you what I'm particularly interested in is hearing from these heavy duty guilds, these big players, and how they see it. So they might be, let's look at this all-out war. They might be quite happy. They might be enjoying it and getting somewhere. But do they still have an opinion? Has it been too easy for them? Are they following Eden as they expected it to work? What's their thoughts on alliances and guilds who are struggling on the fringes of the map and not getting anywhere? So guys, comment below. Let's have your thoughts and input. It would be fantastic if we could get feedback back to IM30. I have already put in a support. Let me just show you. I went to their support, contact us, and I actually went to I have a suggestion. Unfortunately, I can no longer view it. They kind of push you to rate things at the bottom, and then you lose visibility of it. If it's a game error, you see it and you usually get feedback, but I don't think I'm going to be getting feedback on my Eden suggestions. But yeah, let's see if we make a bit of noise, see what might happen. And who knows if a future Eden works out better, because I do believe it can. At this point, I'm hoping after the 25 days we return to regular gameplay normality and then back to old Doomsday, where we played on a map where it was more balanced, whereas now there's just too many people on one map. Okay guys, thanks for watching WarPiglet. WarPiglet likes to be tickled behind the ears. The best way to do that is to like his videos and subscribe. It is incentive for WarPiglet to keep making more videos to help you out. Thanks. WarPiglet.